no matter how much you want to get something done, you just can't seem to do it? You probably had a goal and a plan and then ended up doing something else instead, right? And if that's you, I bet you felt like a failure, like you were weak, or that you just had to wait for your motivation to come back. What if I told you that by understanding how your subconscious mind works, you can stop procrastination once and for all and reach all of your goals? Put in other words, if you don't understand how you take control of your mind, you'll probably end up being stuck exactly where you are today. In this video, I'll give you the exact steps I use with my client Christy, who wanted to build a business and was procrastinating every single day. Now, 6 months later, she has a successful online business. Christy worked as a consultant. She had a well-paid job, a safe job. She had really great clients, and she was well-renowned within her industry. She was crushing it. She was doing so great at work. She had a dream, though, of starting her own online business because the last couple of years she had learned so much about mindset, how to be more productive, and she had a really beautiful message that she wanted to put out to the world. And she really wanted to help other business owners and other consultants in order to become more productive, more efficient, don't waste their time. She was amazing when it came to helping her own clients, only not herself. So Christy came to me and she sat down and said, "You know what, Anakin, I have all the tools. I've been going to courses, masterminds, retreats, events, everything for so many years now. I know exactly what to do in order to start an online business. I have the platforms. I have all the tools. I have the knowledge. I have the network. I have the mentors. I have all the people who can help me out. And still, there's something holding me back." And she couldn't understand what this thing was. She had again and again tried to get this business started, and it was only a plan in her head. She hadn't started to make videos. She hadn't started to put out content. She hadn't started to build the programs that she wanted to build. She hadn't done anything. It was all in her head. She knew exactly what to do, but she didn't do it. Now, what was this force holding her back from reaching her goal, from living her dream life? She had such a beautiful message that she wanted to help people with, and she had the tools. So I started to ask her a few questions, which I normally do with my clients. First of all, I asked, okay, when you think about the thing that you're going to do, what pops up in your head? And at first, she was a little bit resistant. She was like, I don't really know. And then I started to ask her more questions, and we quickly came to the bottom of it. Every time she was thinking about what she had to do in order to start her business, she would get this really uncomfortable, stressful feeling. And I dug a little bit deeper, and we figured out that the thoughts she had in her head were, what if I'm too old? I'm probably too old for this. What if I fail? What if I don't make enough money? What if it takes too long? What if there's too much work? And you know what? All the other people who are already running successful online businesses, they're so far ahead. I'll never get there. Look at all the work that's between me and my goal. So you know what? I sat down with Christy, and this is what we went through. Number one, your mind's main priority is to keep you safe so that you survive and so that you can have children and so that they survive. And how does it do that? Well, there are many ways. Number one, your mind will do anything it can in order for you to save resources. Save resources? What does that have to do with work and procrastination? And well, it has everything to do with it. So our ancestors lived in a world where resources were few. There was a lack of food and lack of water, maybe, and lack of safety. There were so many dangers. And our brains learned that the environment was dangerous, that resources were scarce, and that whatever we had of resources, we had to keep them close. close. We couldn't risk losing them. And setting out on a journey which is unsafe, where you don't know if you'll actually reach the goal, means that you will spend a lot of resources. And resources can be time and energy, or even food, or whatever that your mind thinks that is yours, your resources. So whenever your mind knows that you're going to do something and you will need to spend resources to get there, time, money, energy, whatever, it doesn't want you to do that, because your mind thinks that you might lose your resources. And if you run out of energy, you can die, right? Because that was how the world was for our ancestors. Now we know that the world we live in is safe. We can just, order food to our front door. We will survive if we run out of resources, right? Our minds don't know that. So whenever you want to do something, your mind will go, hell no, I don't want you to lose your resources, your time, your energy, your money, and risk all of that. And maybe you'll never reach your goal. And think about the other thing. She already had a steady job, a well-paid job. She was renowned. So many clients wanted to work with her. She had a long wait list. She was at the top within her industry. Those were all her resources. And you know what? Your mind never wants you to lose what you have. So, starting that new adventure of building her new business could mean that she would lose the other clients, her old job, all the money, the social status, all of that stuff, and time, energy, money on the way to get there. So whenever your mind thinks that you will lose something that's yours, or risk losing some extra resources, it will start to do everything it can in order to push you away from it, to move you away from it. And how does it do that? Well, first of all, with coming with a lot of excuses that seem so real that you will believe them. Like, oh, this won't work because, or I can't do it now because, or there will be so many excuses, and you'll believe them, because that's what we do. We believe what our mind tells us. And that's probably one of the things I want you to stop doing now. I mean, stop believing what your mind tells you. Stop believing your thoughts, because none of your thoughts are true. Okay, that was a little side note there. So your mind will come up with excuses in order to get you away from whatever you're trying to do. And all minds will do that. Even my mind will do that. Even though I've been trained in this for years, even though this is what I do with my clients every single day, my mind will also come up with excuses. Like, I'm going for a run, and my mind will go, oh, but remember, you have a blister. It might get even worse, or it's raining. Maybe you'll get sick, or your knee hurts, whatever. All of those excuses, they will appear. And our job is to understand it and say, oh, thank you, brain. I know you're just trying to protect me. You know what? That's only an excuse. I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm safe, by the way. I have all the time and the resources that I need. Okay, so your mind does that by coming up with excuses, and it does it by creating stress, this uncomfortable feeling. And if there's one important thing I want you to know about your mind, is that one of the ways it works in order to keep you safe is to move away from everything that's uncomfortable. And this is an unconscious process. So Christy was thinking, I'm going to start my online business. I'm going to start putting out content, putting out a program, building an email list, and all that stuff we do. If you've run an online business, you know what I mean. And whenever she started thinking about that, first of all, there were all the excuses. Second of all, there was this uncomfortable feeling, and it was unconscious. And you know what you do when this uncomfortable feeling arises? You will go to wherever you can find some comfortable feelings, good emotions, some dopamine, whatever feels good. And you'll do it unconsciously. And the reason why you do this is because your mind thinks that that is safety. Good feelings is safety. Bad feelings is danger. When we know that it's not true, we know that your mind is just creating those stressful emotions, those uncomfortable emotions, because you're trying to attempt something new. And by the way, your mind is so afraid of everything new because it could be dangerous, right? So, whatever is new, your mind will go, heck no, I'm going to stop you. You need to go back to whatever you've been doing before. I'm going to create a lot of uncomfortable emotions so that you unconsciously move away from it and towards wherever you feel good, which is normally the old habits, the old patterns, which are safe, they're familiar. So, there's potentially nothing dangerous there. And where else do you find good feelings? Well, scrolling on your phone, eating some chocolate or chips, Netflix, alcohol, shopping, whatever. And this is the reason why people procrastinate, because the brain is trying to keep them safe. It is creating those uncomfortable emotions when you try to do something new because it's risky, it's unfamiliar, there could be something dangerous there, and you might lose your resources. And well, we better make sure that you don't do it. And in addition to those uncomfortable emotions, your mind will come up with all the excuses of why you shouldn't do it. So your job is what? Don't believe the excuses you have in your head. Don't believe the thoughts in your head. They're only there to keep you away from doing that new thing. And start to become aware when this uncomfortable emotion arises. It doesn't mean that it's dangerous. It doesn't mean that you blindly have to pick up your phone and do whatever you've been doing before in order to procrastinate. It only means that your mind is trying to get you away from doing it. And you don't have to believe that. You can take control and turn it around so that you actually do it and feel good at the same time. Okay, so the number one way your mind tries to keep you safe is by making sure that you don't lose your resources and that you don't lose whatever is yours. Second of all, your mind tries to keep you safe by making sure that you keep your connection within your tribe. And why is it important to keep your connection within your tribe? Well, again, we have to go back to our ancestors. They lived in a very dangerous world where we did depend on our tribe. So your mind knows that if you lose your connection to your tribe, you won't survive. At least that's what it thinks, because your ancestors lived on the savannah in Africa. If they were kicked out of their tribe, they wouldn't survive for very long because the world was so dangerous. There was a lack of food, there were other dangerous tribes, and there were dangerous animals and harsh weather. So many things could happen. So we did really depend on our tribe. Your brain knows that. So the second way your brain is trying to protect you is to make sure that you stay connected to your tribe. And how does it do that? Well, your mind thinks that, okay, if you are valuable, if people look up to you, then your place in the tribe will be secure, right? At least that's what your mind thinks. So your mind is so afraid of you failing because what would other people think? So this fear of losing in front of other people, this fear of failing, what if I don't look good in other people's view? This fear is so real and is the reason that most people never live out their dream, that they never go for their goal. And you know what? To be honest, do other people really care? Would they think less of you if you went for it, if you did your best and you didn't make it? Of course not. These are unconscious patterns which are driving us. They're driving all of us if we're not aware and if we don't take control and do some inner work and change this around, because it doesn't have to limit you. It will if you're not aware of it and if you don't do the work. So you can turn all of this around and take control. Okay, let's recap. Your mind is trying to keep you away from reaching your goal because it thinks that's the best thing it can do, because you might lose resources and you might lose whatever is yours. and because you could fail. And if you fail, then what will people think? And if people think poorly of you, you might be in danger. Your life might be in danger. So all along, your mind will come up with excuses and create uncomfortable emotions that unconsciously drive you away from what you had planned to do. So, how do you turn this around? How do you take control, and what can you do in order to actually get to your goal? First of all, you need to understand this. When you become aware and you start to realize how your mind is playing tricks on you, and when you can see beyond the matrix and see what's really driving all of your behavior and all of your emotions, you don't have to be a passenger anymore, because when you see it, you can never unsee it. When you know, you know. And when you know and when you see it, you don't have to follow it blindly. You can stop and you can choose another path. And how do you choose that other path? Well, we have a saying that when you repeat something over and over again, you build a new pattern, a new neural pathway. And after a while of repeating this new pattern, this will be the main driving force. So, what you have to do is recognize every time it happens, every time you're coming up with an excuse, every time this uncomfortable feeling is there, recognize it, become aware, and then choose a new thought, choose a new pattern, choose a new behavior. There are two things you can think about when you're practicing this. First of all, let's say you become aware of an uncomfortable feeling and an excuse. Let's say, like in Christy's case, she wanted to start her online business, and all of these things happened. So many excuses, so many negative thoughts and emotions and everything. So the first thing you do is you ask yourself, where has my focus been? What have I been focusing on? For Christy, what did I tell you that she had been focusing on? She had been focusing on her age. She had been focusing on how far other people within that industry already had come. And when she focused on that, how did that make her feel? It made her feel like she was far behind. It made her feel that there was no point because she was so old and everyone had already come so far within that industry. So already she had the knowledge, the skills, and she was super competent. She was focusing on stuff that made her lose her confidence, right? Whatever she focused on was everything that could go wrong, all the proof why she shouldn't do it. And she was comparing herself and making herself look like she had pulled the shortest straw all along. There was a lot of work that had to be done. Other people were so much further ahead than her, and her age. How could she possibly start that job when she was so old? Well, cancel, because none of that is true. Those are only excuses. So the first thing you do is ask yourself, where has my focus been? Where has my focus been, and how does that focus make me feel? Because you need to understand this. Your feelings are driving all of your behavior. And you control your feelings. And how do you control your feelings? By becoming aware of what you're focusing on, and also becoming aware of the words you're using, the inner dialogue, your thoughts, and also the pictures you're creating in your head. Okay, so when you say that I'm too old, it's going to take too long, there's too much to do, how do you feel? If you think it inside of you or say it out loud, how does it make you feel? Well, it really takes away all your confidence, right? It makes you think that it's not possible, or it will be too hard, not worthwhile the work, and you put in all the work and you probably won't make it anyway, because there's so many reasons why it won't work, right? Christy was also creating these images in her head. When she was thinking about what she had to do, she pictured a huge mountain of work inside her head, a huge black mountain with all the work and a really long path towards this huge mountain, and she had to climb the whole mountain to get there. I mean, how motivating is that when you know that your mind doesn't want to lose resources, time, energy, money? When you picture a huge mountain that you have to climb inside of your head, a huge black dark mountain, how motivating is that? Not very motivating. So, okay, let's do this. What have you been thinking about? A thing you need to do that you feel that you don't really feel that motivated doing. Okay, so just close your eyes for a second and I'll think about that thing and I'll ask you, when you think about that thing, do you have a picture? And whatever comes is the picture related to the task, the thing, the goal. Okay, so notice how the picture is. Maybe it is quite far away from you. Maybe it is dark. What qualities does the picture have? Notice where it is and then pull it closer to you. Notice if it has colors or not. Make it colorful, make it bright, and then make the picture as appealing as you can. Put in all your favorite colors, your sounds, your flavors, whatever, or favorite people. Maybe sprinkle it with stardust and unicorns, whatever you need to do to make that picture really, really appealing and bring it really close to you. And then notice how that changes everything. Okay, you can open your eyes. Congratulations. And if this was a little bit too fast for you, you can always rewind and do the exercise again. So I really want you to understand this, that the pictures you create in your heads, they affect how you feel, and how you feel affect your behavior. And you control the pictures in your head. So whenever you feel like, ooh, don't want to do that, ooh, oh, that's scary, ooh, not motivating, or whatever, go inside and find the picture that you've created. Bring it closer, make it bigger, make it brighter, make it happy. Add your favorite music and whatever makes you feel happy. And this will change how you feel about it, because this is really what we want to do. We want to change how you feel about that thing. Okay, so to recap, what you need to do is, number one, understand how your mind works. It's only trying to keep you safe. Then become aware, stop whenever you notice that your mind is making excuses, whenever you have all these uncomfortable feelings, and then ask yourself, okay, where was my focus? And how did that make me feel? And how can I change this focus into something more constructive? Ask yourself, what was I thinking? What was I saying? And what were the pictures in my head? And then change them so that they become appealing, so that you create all the good emotions. So, okay, let's say, for example, Christy was thinking about how much she had to do and that huge mountain. So we changed that picture into something so much nicer for her. And then I taught her how to focus on each step along the way, so that her mind didn't have to picture the big mountain, that each step counts, each step is valuable. And when we keep our focus exactly here on the first step, we can reach that first step, reach that first goal, and we can feel mastery. We can have that small win. We can realize that, wow, it's actually possible. And then I taught her how to reframe everything, because we so often think that when I get to the end of my goal, everything will be all right. That's when I'll become happy and everything will just be perfect. The thing is, there's no such thing as the top of the mountain. There's no such thing as getting to our goal and then being finished. Everything in life is a process. Your personal development is a process. Your relationships are a process. Everything you're doing is a process. Your life is a process. It doesn't end until the day you die. And when you can bring your focus away from having to reach that goal, and that's the only place where you can be happy, and bring your focus back to right here and now, the process, what you're working on now. This is what is going to make you happy. Doing whatever you can today in order to be happy and do the best you can. That's where your focus should be. And find joy in doing it today, this exact moment, this step. And whatever comes tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and the day after that, it doesn't matter because that's tomorrow or that's in 6 months or next year. Whatever, you might not even get there, or your goal might change, your plans might change. Or you might reach your goal and then what? There'll be a new goal, right? So teach yourself to bring your focus back to here and now. This is what is important. So if you're experiencing that you're procrastinating just like Christy did, what you do is number one, understand the processes that are happening. Your mind is only trying to keep you safe. Become aware. Stop and ask yourself, what have I been focusing on? And how can I change my focus so that it is something more constructive? What have I been telling myself? And how did that make me feel? And what can I tell myself instead? Well, okay, Christy said, oh, I'm too old. There's no point. I'm too old. People don't want me. So, and how would that make her feel? Well, it would make her lose her confidence, right? Her faith that it was possible. So, how could we reframe age into being something super constructive? Well, first of all, age means you've lived, you have a lot of experience, you have wisdom. And second of all, there are people who are your age and they will want to hear from you. So age is an advantage. It's not a disadvantage. It's just about how you see it. So you can always reframe and change. Whatever you're saying to yourself, change it so that it has a positive outcome, so that it is constructive, so that it makes you feel good, so that it builds confidence and motivation. Because your thoughts are driving your emotions, and your emotions are driving your behavior and your results. Okay, and lastly, the pictures in your head. Become aware of what you have been thinking, what you have been imagining, and change it so that it makes you feel good. Because when you start to attach good emotions to your goals, you will move towards them without having to push it. It will just happen like that. If you thought this was interesting, I'm pretty sure that you'll like this one too.